unlawfully, illegally and fraudulently on the 6th of December 1921, when Michael Collins, the Free State Provisional Government, King George V of England, and the British government bought the lease of Leinster House from the Royal Dublin Society, in brackets Dublin Horse to impose the Free State under the threat of immediate and terrible war. We just explained about immediate, what they did.
Yes.
They always went in and caused a war, and then they did what they liked. Immediate and terrible war by King George V of England. The Irish Republican brother, IRB Sinn Féin, need an urgent reply to my letter and would like to meet you to clarify matters. The Irish Republican brother founded and funded the state, the Sovereign Republic of Ireland, the Sovereign Dáil government, the Sovereign Dáil Courts, Forecourts, and the War of Independence as a defence force. And then it's signed and sealed on the 10th of June 2020 under the sovereign seal of the Sovereign Republic of Ireland, William James Maguire, President of the Irish and Fenian Republican brother, President of the Sovereign Republic of Ireland, President of the Sovereign Dáil government, President of the Sovereign Dáil Courts, and John Robinson, the Secretary of the IRB and the Fenian Republican brother, he signed it. Enclosed the IRB's 1916 proclamation, sovereign constitution, which is very important. The land of Ireland belongs to the citizens of Ireland and to them alone. Where do the farmers think they got all that land from? Where do householders think you got the land? Because the IRB set up the Land Commission to give it to them.
Right. Very important point.
Independence, message to the Free Nations. First Sovereign Dáil government, which is over there, we'll be showing through in a minute, the 21st, 2019. Articles of Agreement signed on the 6th of December 1921. We saw, you saw that there as well.
But one point in that then.
Well, the point of the whole issue of this is, what oath of allegiance is she taking?
Well, that's a very good point, like Mairead McGuinness.
Yeah, what is
She's not taking an oath to
she's not taking any oath.
No, it's to European. It's to Europe she's making the declaration.
But Mary Lou isn't making it to Europe.
No, Mary Lou is
making any. But Mairead McGuinness or Phil Hogan or any of those people can't sit in Europe without. You can't sit without taking an oath to the book.
Right. Yeah.
And you can't sit in Britain. They can't sit in the House of Commons without taking the oath to the Queen. And here we're the only ones that don't take an oath when what is our government? Our government has no status. It's not a legal entity. It can't claim sovereignty. They can't use the sovereign seal. And you see that there, with air underneath it.
Yes.
They're illegally and fraudulently using they belong to the Irish and Fenian Republican Brotherhood. Our tricolour flag is belongs to proclamation, Declaration of Independence, addressed to the Free Nation, all IRB. Ours is a sovereignty and we hold that in trust as a sovereignty for the people. Yes. And here we have to they won't even put air. You have that seal, and no air underneath it.
Yeah, just show that there. Actually, yes, yeah. No, that's fine. Yeah, I see now exactly what you mean. Yeah, I understand.
It's not. If you look at your passport,
yes,
and you look at the tax of your car, it has to have air underneath.
It does. Yes. And
the reason for that's the 21st of January 1919. Is the Free State is manoeuvring this under Britain. But you see, since Article 50, once the Queen signed Article 50, the Free State was gone. She abdicated any claim she had in Ireland of the Free State. So we're back now to a 32 county again. That's why that letter is important.
It is very
you understand
it
why
has now the parts of come
once
together.
She signed Article 50. She usurped the sovereignty of this and the Free State is gone. It's completely gone. And here's our Free State government still going on. You see, Realtas Nahairn.
Yes, government.
And that is the Free State is what it is. It's not the Sovereign Republic. And there should be question of that. Yes. But you can't even ring up RTE now and ask if you have a complaint about anything. There's no place. They won't talk to you.
No, they won't answer you.
And they won't answer you.
No,
they don't want to know. You ask any departments, they won't tell you.
No.
Ask any paper, you can't talk to anybody. No. People are not. We have to go back to the people are sovereign.
Well, it's actually going back to actually what happened in the golf outing up in Clifton. It's all one word.
Arrogance.
Simply one word. Arrogance and no accountability.
No accountability.
That's the problem. And it goes through.
And that letter tells you, if she signed that, I want Mary Lou and the rest of the politicians in Leinster House to go down to the Mansion House, to the round room and take that oath of allegiance to the state, the Sovereign Republic of Éire, the Sovereign Dáil Éireann government, the Sovereign Dáil Éireann courts, and the War of Independence as a defence of, we've had that, and be accountable to the sovereign people. That's all. And then Mary Lou is president of Sinn Féin.
Yes.
She can call herself Sinn Féin. She cannot call herself Sinn Féin now because she isn't. She's provisional Sinn Féin, and you've all these other Sinn Féins, and you've all these other people trying to take over the IRB to get rid of all that. They think that they can continue on like that. Where would you go, John, without your passport? And where would your passport go without Éire being underneath it?
Be allowed into any other country?
You wouldn't.
A useless piece of paper.
And the same when you go into sitting at these meetings in Europe and everything else.
Yeah.
That's a desecration of our sovereignty. That those volunteers went out and gave their life. They carried the defence forces 8 strings IV on the buttons.
Yes.
The Garda Síochána 7 strings IV.
Yeah,
Their first day on duty was on the 21st of January. They came out of the Irish Volunteers. And why aren't we going? Why isn't that history being taught to the people?
You see, this is what annoys me. That's the very point. I mean, the Minister for Education a number of years ago, I don't know who he or she was, they actually tried to drop history as being taught as irrelevant. It's now actually, it should be a top subject because it's so relevant with Brexit, with what happened in 1155, 1918, the IRB, what has gone on.
1858. Who knows today? That was St. Patrick's Day, 1858. We were founded the IRB.
It is such an essential piece of a subject matter because it's so relevant now today.
It is, because you have to have status. When you go into other countries, it's not like Britain went in without sovereignty.
Yeah.
They went in and plundered the kid.
Yeah.
When you have sovereignty, it means you go in and you respect that country and their institutions. And they're all about, in other words, there's no hookery, crookery, slavery, ill treatment of people. That's what our civilization is about. And isn't it time the world got back to that?
Well, we need to get back to it very quickly because the way mankind is
we
actually
have it.
behaving.
And we have it in writing. We have it in Lochgar.
Yeah.
And we've done the mathematics for Lochgar. Jerry O'Donovan. He did it. And Jerry now, and I begged the University of Limerick to go out there, these professors of mathematics to do that 10,000 years ago. And to do all that was left for us. It's all written in stone.
It's right there for us.
And they wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I asked the head of the history department to go out and do the history. I brought them out and I showed them everything. They were more interested in going off to New York and Boston on a Friday and coming back on a Monday.
Well, for them. Must be great salaries. They must pay very well in universities.
That's what they have been doing instead of looking after the people.
Yes.
And that's what we need to do. We need a government to look after the people.
That's the thing. I remember a book written by a great lady, Frances Hogan, and she said that one thing, and she was a missionary out in many torn up countries, but one thing she said, if a country or the world will never be at peace, ever, economically, morally, whatever, until governments are put in place that look after the people.
And what happens
it's
here,
as simple
John,
as that.
They look after themselves.
That's the problem right now.
Isn't that the problem?
It is.
And you see these huge salaries. I'm told, I don't know whether it is true, that Phil Hogan got a golden handshake of 300,000.
Yes, that's right. Plus a pension.
Plus a pension.
A pension. And a pension and a lump sum from Ireland.
And he wouldn't take the oath of allegiance to the state.
But you see, it shows greed, no accountability.
That's it.
And basically, I hate to say it, folks, because I don't want to insult genuine men and women in politics across the country, but others like them are just giving 2 fingers to the people. We get you for your vote. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. We'll see you in 5 years'
time. And the so-called media goons will lack onto them. And that's all. That's it. That's it.
And as for licenses, there are no licenses. A license has to have that sovereign seal and Éire underneath it, as is in your passport.
Correct.
And it doesn't have it.
Right.
There isn't. The bank has a license, and they should all be held accountable to the people.
Yes.
And until that's happened, I'm afraid we're not going to go in.
Well, the point is this, that there would be a great example to the Irish people, men, women and children of all ages, north and south, if every single person who attended that golf outing in Clifton breaking the public health regulations that everyone is suffering over, every one of them have got to go. Every single one of them.
Every one of them.
And there's only one or two gone so far, and the rest will fight on with vulture funds and MEPs.
Anything that's there, they'll take it.
They have disgraced our nation, these people.
And themselves.
You know. Billy, we're going to leave it there.
Right, lovely.
And
can you take a thing of those two letters?
I will, yes, yeah. I'll take a photo. I'll take a photograph of them and put them with the interviews. But that's it from part 2 with my conversation, a very, very wise conversation I've had with Billy Maguire as always. And part 1 will be uploaded because it's so relevant to the toxicity of what's going on with Britain and Europe at the moment. And we just have to keep fingers crossed, folks, that some part of our government will be strong enough to make sure that a deal is done and that the protocol...
John, if the people are wrong not to ask the question.
But they should be.
Why should they ask the politician, their local...
They should be out there asking...
What oath of allegiance do you give?
Yes.
Once he tells you what oath of allegiance, he is accountable to you.
Yes.
He doesn't have to be...
But there's no accountability to any of us.
You know, it's just there.
No,
it's there. It's in the hands of the people.
Okay, thank you. And I'll get photographs of those. They're very important letters. But from Billy Maguire and myself, a very good meal August Slán. Take care of yourselves and stay safe.